Hi guys, and welcome to another video on Sonal's Life. So after weeks of shows, we finally had the culmination of the Power Struggle Tour today. Now basically, this for me kickstarts the road to Wrestle Kingdom. We've had some standout matches from juniors and heavyweights, whether it's the Never Open Man 6-weight tag titles or the junior tag titles. We've had some great singles matches and some really good storylines have emerged. I thought today I'd have a look at the show that basically is one of the biggest of the year. We've had some massive things happen in the past during this show, and this year was no exception. So let's start off with the first match. This was a really nice light-hearted match between Toriano and Saber Jr. for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy. It was, I think, the most funniest match possible, and it was definitely a nice way to start a show that I expected and was very serious. Now, nobody really knows what to expect from the King of Pro Wrestling trophy. The really only thing we know is that the competitors themselves pick the stipulation. And because of their little rivalry in the past few weeks over turnbuckles and the turn pads that Yano likes to take off, we had a no turnbuckle match. And can I tell you, it's as chaotic as it sounded. I mean, to start with, we seem to have some pretty good wrestling. Like their G1 match, Yano seemed to actually show the crowd, you know what? I'm actually a pretty good amateur wrestler, but things quickly escalated from that. We had each guy throwing them into the empty and exposed turnbuckles, and I think it even got to a point where Yano realised I probably shouldn't have picked this match stipulation, because there was a point where he was trying to take the turnbuckle back onto the ring because he was the person probably getting the most pain out of it, which is kind of ironic considering Yano is meant to be the king of the turnbuckles. However, it was nice, it was a nice length, and the ending was just probably the icing on the cake of what everyone knew was going to be a random match. Basically, the two of them were outside the ring. Zach had a submission hooked onto Yano with the barricade, you know, the barricade that Yano loves so well. It seemed like everything was going the submission master's way until he tried to get up. Because little did he know, but the crowds did know, and so did the fans at home, that Yano had unlaced Zach's boots and had tied them together. And so when Saber Jr. tried to get up, he couldn't. And it wasn't like when he's been taped before where he could slip through. He was literally caught in it. And he got very angry because Suji couldn't undo it when Yano got the count out win. And then when, bless him, when Uemura cut his laces, Saber Jr. literally chased Uemura out of the arena. It's Saber Jr. I mean, you can probably tell that the post-match comments are going to be hilarious. But I think after that, the show got very serious. Straight away, we had Shingo Takagi versus Menorah Suzuki for the Never Openweight Championship match. Now, these two in the past have put on some amazing matches, whether it's Jingu Stadium or the G1. This match was no exception. Compared to their previous matches, this was a lot slower, and we saw in one of the Power Struggle tours that Minoru Suzuki had a Boston Crab on Shingo's back, which meant that was the main target. From the beginning, he was targeting that from the way that he kicked Shingo off the ring and had his back hit the barricade. Now, from there, it did initially seem like Suzuki had the advantage. Like, he was powering through anything that Shingo tried to throw. Suzuki just stood up, and as typical, he started laughing because nobody can keep the king down. However, Shingo just has this heart, he has this power, and he managed everything that Suzuki gave him. He managed to find a way to counter it or to sort of conserve his energy and retaliate. It didn't work a lot of the time because Suzuki is not a veteran for no reason. He knew everything. He knew what to do to counter Shingo in every way. However, I think people in commentary have said this, the one flaw in Suzuki is trying to go for that Gotch-style pile driver. I think he went for it 2 or 3 times and unsuccessfully did it. Twice I think he just did it out of nowhere, and once he had the sleeper hold on for not long enough. And I think when Suzuki does that, normally you result in a Minoru Suzuki loss, and that was the case today. After battling through his back pain, he finally got the last of the dragon to get this win. Now, I'm a bit conflicted about it because I love Suzuki and I love Shingo, and I almost wanted this Never title to sort of have some importance about it instead of being the usual it keeps getting changing hands. If you think about it, Shingo, he had 2 successful defences but lost it to Suzuki. Suzuki, this is his first defence and he's lost it. We need some consistency with the belt, and hopefully Shingo has it. That is going to be the case now for the upcoming months, and hopefully we might even see the New Japan's longest never champion. And then we had a special singles match. This was probably the weakest on the card, and it was Kazuchiko Okada versus the Great O-Khan. But I think this was more storytelling, more building up for Wrestle Kingdom, which we'll find out in a minute. Going from the outset, O-Khan was dominant. Like, Okada looked like he was struggling, because O-Khan, they said it on commentary, is such a different athlete from what we've seen in New Japan before, especially coming back from his excursion. In England at Rev Pro, he was literally undefeated, so it's 46-0 from what I can remember. And this showed O-Khan was giving Okada everything, and it was very similar to the first match that Okada had back that he had against Tanahashi. It's very similar, like almost parallels to what we saw all those years ago. But obviously we knew what was going to happen. Nobody can beat Okada. Okada's not one of the best wrestlers in the world for nothing. However, it was the aftermath. Obviously Ospreay came out with Okada in a fancy suit, glasses and a wine, looking a bit like a dick, which I think was the purpose of it. So after Okada got taken out because it was a stoppage due to Okada's money clip, I say it like that because I think it needs a better name than the money clip, and challenged Okada to a match at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not really surprised about that, and I am quite excited. It's going to be a very good heel versus babyface with a lot of history behind it. We then had an intermission where we sort of got to see the matches coming up for Best of Super Junior. I know there's been a lot of conversation because we've not got the World Tag League contestants yet, but as it said, today basically determined what the final card will be. So maybe by the time this video is released, we'll have a lineup. But it is very exciting to see what's going to be happening in the next few months, and there are some amazing Best of Super Junior shows, so make sure you watch that. Now, when we came back from the break, we had Kenta versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP US contract to challenge Jon Moxley for his United States Championship. This was a very good match. Like, we've seen over the past few weeks, Tanahashi and Kenta's rivalry. I mean, I really think Tanahashi should pay Kenta for the broken briefcase, because the amount of damage that Tanahashi's head's done to it is unreal. Now, I'm saying that it's all fun and games, but you know what? Despite like a few rule breaking from Kenta, which we expect, the match was amazing. It was a mixture of Tanahashi's more athletic offense with Kenta's submission stat, and we got to see both of them do very different things from what we normally do. We saw the Texas Cloverleaf from Tanahashi again, and from Kenta we saw this determination on him. And we were reminded that yes, he's a member of Bullet Club, but he is a damn good wrestler. And in the end, Tanahashi had to do a verbal submission. He said, "I give up," when Kenta put him in the game over, which is probably one of the most effective submission moves in New Japan at the moment. And yeah, let's fingers crossed that Kenta gets a new briefcase. And the main thing I think coming out of this match is, where does this leave Hiroshi Tanahashi for Wrestle Kingdom? Normally by this time we know what Tanahashi's going to be doing. He's either in a special singles match or he's in title contention. So I think the next month or so is going to be vital for the ace. But you know what? I still love you, Tanahashi. And then we had the semi-final match, which was Kota Ibushi versus Jay White for the G1 Tokyo Dome contract. And hopefully you can see probably what my reaction was to the result. Now, in the past, we've seen these guys wrestle, I think, 3 times. So last year's G1, Wrestle Kingdom this year, and this year's G1. And honestly, this match was probably just as good as some of them. It was very different. We obviously had Gedo helping, Jay White being a cocky little thing, Ibushi with his heart and soul. Now, unlike their G1 bout, Jay didn't target the leg. He was targeting the midsection of Ibushi, and it was almost like he was trying to wear out Kota Ibushi, who is known for his stamina. But you know what? As always, the Golden Star didn't stay down for long. For most of it, they were at very even footing. That's even with the presence of Gedo. And I think with two men so different, it was a match of so many different layers. We had high flying, strikes, submissions, mat-based offense. And it just proves that like why these two are two of the top guys in New Japan. Now, the ending was a bit weird. I sort of liked what happened. Basically, Ibushi was going for his Kamigoye, then Jay was going for his Blade Runner, and in the end, through a roll-up, Jay had his feet on the rope, and Marty Sami counted the 3 count, even though technically it shouldn't have happened. Now, I don't think Ibushi even noticed that was what happened. But if you think about it, the briefcase has been defended 16 times since its inception in 2012. And this is the first time that it's ever changed hands. And of course, who would have to do it? The Switchblade. So, technically, even though I lost the predictions of Jay White not winning the G1, technically this is still a win. So, that was 2 Bullet Club matches down and we had the main event. Naito versus Evil. So, I was like a lot of people. I didn't want to see it again. We've seen it what feels like so many times in the past few months. However, this one had to probably be their best one. Yes, Dick Togo got involved several times. However, Naito seemed to have something extra up his sleeve, this extra determination. Like they said on commentary, and I keep bringing it up because Kevin Kelly, Chris Charlton and Rocky Romero did an amazing job, as always. But for the past few months, Naito's been wrestling a pretty fair babyface game, but still with that same essence that is Naito. And that's just meant that whatever Evil had, Naito had a really solid counter to it. He's using more technical, more traditional moves like submissions to wear as an opponent. Now I think what people have said is there was so much interference in this match. However, some of those interferences led to some of the best parts of this show. At one point, Dick Togo got Naito obviously with his neck in the, what is it called, a metal chain, and Yujiro came out. Then, our boy Sanada came out in his Louboutins, his very sparkly Louboutin shoes, drop kicked them, slung Dick Togo over his shoulder and dragged Yujiro out. Then Jay White came, looked like he was going to do a Blade Runner on Evil, went for Naito. Ibushi came out, obviously probably seeing what had happened during their match and seeking retribution. So with all of that out of the way, we had a proper one-on-one match. And everyone knows when you have one-on-one between Evil and Naito, Naito is going to get the win because it's an even playing field and Naito is the superior wrestler. Because, you know what? Nowadays, what is Evil without Dick Togo? So yeah, after a Destino, which I've always missed Kevin Kelly going, Destino! Naito got the win. Now what was the most interesting thing was after it. Jay White came out, obviously like, well, looks like it's our fate, it's our Destino for it to be me versus you at Wrestle Kingdom. And then Ibushi came out. Obviously, like I said, he must know now. And it's one of those things now, anything could happen between now and January. Could it be Naito versus Jay? Could Ibushi ask for a rematch? I've got a conspiracy here that I sort of want this to happen. I don't know if it is. Remember, there is another person who's beat Jay White in the G1. That's Tomohiro Ishii. Ishii doesn't seem to be in World Tag League because we know Ishii is not going to be... Well, Goto and Yoshihashi have said they've teamed together and there isn't anyone really we could think Ishii's team with. What if Ishii challenges Jay for the contract and then he main events Wrestle Kingdom? I know a lot of you will probably agree that that would be a best case scenario. So, you know what? I'm going to put that out as my theory. So, yeah, it was a very good power struggle tour. I personally had to watch it afterwards because I was watching a K-pop Super Junior concert. But it was definitely worth watching. And you know what? We had funny, we had intense, we had story building. And yeah, I'm really excited now for Wrestle Kingdom. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed Power Struggle. Let me know in the comments. What were your favourite matches of the show, maybe of the entire tour, and what do you think is going to be the main event of Wrestle Kingdom? Like always, make sure to like, subscribe, give this video a share on Twitter, and make sure to tag me. I'm at wrestling_chat. I will see you guys next week. Bye!